And then, in addition to that, what lends evidence is the ayah after that, ayah 23 says, In anta illa nadhir. You are not except as a warner. A warner cannot warn dead people. Someone's dead in their grave, they cannot be warned because they're dead. That time is finished. They can no longer heed the call. The time of accepting or rejecting is over. They have died in whatever state they are in. The next evidence that deserves to be looked at is their evidence in Surah Rum, ayah 52. Of course, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Indeed, you cannot make the dead to hear, nor can you make the deaf to hear the call when they show their backs and turn away. Surah Rum, ayah 52. Now this ayah clearly shows something else. That firstly, it has to be read in context, because these ayats have been taken out of context. It says, when they show their backs and turn away. When someone is dead in their graves, they cannot show their back and turn away. When someone is dead and in their grave, they cannot turn away from anything. That time is over. The time, again, this is the same argument that is from the other ayah, Surah Fatir, ayah 22. They cannot turn away or reject something because that time period is already over once they are in the grave. However, we can see from the ayah that it's not regarding that. Now the ayah after that says further, which is what I had quoted earlier instead of 52, which was the 53rd ayah. It says, And you cannot guide the blind from their astrayness. Indeed, those that will be made to hear are only those who believe in our signs, and they are Muslims. So now we see the ayah in context is talking about hearing in terms of believing and revelation, not for people who are dead and in their graves. This is not what it's referring to, not at all. So we have to look at that important point. As far as the ninth evidence, Surah Al-Naml, ayah 80, where it says that you cannot make the dead to hear the call. You cannot make the dead to hear, nor can you make the deaf to hear the call when they flee, turning their backs. The ayah after that, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِهَادِي الْعُمْيِ عَنْ ضَلَالَتِهِمْ إِن تُسْمَعُوا إِلَّا مَنْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِآيَاتِنَا فَهُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Again, it is the exact same phraseology as appears in Rum, ayah 53. The exact same phraseology, which is, and you cannot guide the blind from their astrayness. Indeed, no one will hear except the one who believes in our signs, and they are Muslims. It's almost the exact same phraseology in Arabic as well. Almost the exact same. So again, this goes with Surah Al-Rum, ayah 52, that indeed this is not in context. These verses have been taken out of context. Therefore, they cannot be used as evidence for those who are attempting to use them for this particular topic. They are not relevant for that. This is talking about spiritual death and spiritual blindness. Someone could say, that's only one opinion. That's only one position. What about the rest of the Orthodox generations? That is a very fair thing to say. So I will quote two of them. One of them is Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah in his Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar, and the other one is Imam Muhyiddin Al-Uthmani, who did a commentary on Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar called Al-Qawl Al-Fasl. This is on page 409, and he makes a commentary on all three of these verses. Listen to what he says. He says, quote, as far as the statement being used as proof, i.e., that being mentioned in where Allah said, nor are the living and the dead equal. Indeed, Allah makes those whom He will to hear, but you cannot make those who are in their graves to hear. Then that position of the dead not being able to hear is a weak one indeed. For the intent of the ayah is in likening the state of the kuffar with the state of the dead by way of not hearing. It is not a denial of the affirmation of life in the grave. Close quote. This is taken from Al-Qawl al-Fasl, page 409, which is the commentary on Imam Abu Hanifa's Al-Fiqh al-Akbar by Imam Muhyiddin al-Uthmani, a great Muslim theologian. I would also like to explain that this is also the exact same thing, and almost the exact same wording, that Imam al-Tabari, who was a contemporary with Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, the exact same thing that he said, the exact same thing that Imam al-Qurtubi said, the exact same thing that Ibn al-Arabi said, the exact same thing that Imam Ibn Kathir said, the exact same thing that Jalaluddin al-Suyuti and Jalaluddin al-Mahalli said, the exact same thing that Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah said, and many of the other Mufassirin, be they Baydawi or others. So what do you understand from this? What we understand from this, clearly, is that as part of a doctrine of Muslim orthodoxy, the prophets are alive in their graves. There is no doubt about that. Their life is greater than, and more exalted and more beautiful and more intense than the life here in its bliss. And likewise for the kuffar, more torturous, more painful, and more filled with sorrow than their life could have ever been here. It is interesting that those who would try to deny the punishment of the grave, those who would attempt to deny that the prophets are alive in their graves, are actually those who are the most afraid of death. It is not those who know where they are headed, who know of their position, who know of the bottom line that is awaiting them in life. It is not them at all. Far from it. Rather, it is those who have built and established that they will be in this life for eternity. The wealth that they have made, they count it, staggering and wandering and glorying in this wealth. Their house, they keep it in immaculate condition, loving it, glorying in it, enjoying it day by day and what it can give them. Their families, they toil endlessly and laboriously with them as if there will be no tomorrow. As if they are already safe from death and have been given a contract for eternity. As they ride in their cars, which really act as nothing more than metal coffins for their bodies on the way to work, spiritually dead in Allah and alive and well in Shaitan, they fear nothing but death. Indeed, it is a common phraseology in the United States and other countries that share this same morbid outlook of life, and it is this: there are only two realities in life. According to them, they say, quote, there are only two realities in life: death and taxes. Closed quote. This is their reality. The only two things they fear are the rise in their taxes and death. In school, many children are told, and it is impressed upon them, the name of the game for life is the one with the most toys wins. This is how it is viewed. The one who can have the most partners, promiscuous, in different relationships, the one who can amass the most wealth through cheating, lying, stealing, and sexual and monetary extortion, the one who has the most power, where they can snap their fingers or say a simple command. Those who disagree with them are killed, or those who do not meet their favor are slaughtered instantly, or those fearing for their lives, fearing that person as they would fear a deity, are spared their lives. The name of the game for them